from the Files of the Unexplained, produced by Romeo St.Pierre Productions.
In the historic mining town of Bisbee, Arizona, where century-old buildings cling to the hillsides and abandoned mine shafts stretch beneath the earth like forgotten arteries, one landmark continues to attract visitors searching for history, charm, and perhaps something they can't quite explain. The inn at Castle Rock has stood overlooking Tombstone Canyon for generations. Like much of Bisbee, the building carries the weight of the town's copper mining past. And according to local legend, some former residents may have never truly left. Within the Files of the Unexplained lies the story of a retired schoolteacher named Thomas Mercer, who traveled to Bisbee for a quiet weekend getaway. Fascinated by Arizona's mining history, Thomas checked into the inn at Castle Rock, eager to spend a few days exploring the town's historic streets. By daylight, Bisbee felt alive with artists, tourists, and musicians. But as darkness settled over the canyon, the town transformed into something entirely different. That night, Thomas awoke to the sound of heavy footsteps outside his room. Not the footsteps of a late-night guest. These sounded deliberate. Work boots crossing an old wooden floor. He listened carefully. Step, step, step. The footsteps stopped outside his door. Then he heard a man's voice, barely above a whisper. Shift starts before sunrise. Thomas immediately opened the door. The hallway was empty. Convinced he had been dreaming, he returned to bed. Minutes later, another sound echoed through the hotel. Metal striking stone. Clang, clang, clang. The unmistakable rhythm of a miner's pickaxe. The following morning, Thomas mentioned the strange experience to a local shop owner. Instead of laughing, she simply nodded. "You aren't the first person to hear the miners." Over the years, guests at the inn at Castle Rock had reported hearing unexplained footsteps, distant voices, and the sounds of mining tools coming from empty rooms and deserted hallways. Curious, Thomas spent the afternoon researching Bisbee's history at a local archive. That's when he discovered the story of Samuel Whitaker, a miner who had arrived during Bisbee's copper boom in the early 1900s. Newspaper records described Samuel as a hard-working family man who spent years underground before losing his life in a mining accident. One detail immediately caught Thomas's attention. Samuel had lived only a few blocks from the inn. Then Thomas noticed the accompanying photograph. The man's face looked familiar. He had seen him before, reflected briefly in the hallway mirror the night before. But Thomas had told no one about that. That evening, he returned to his room with more questions than answers. At exactly 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 knocks sounded against his door. He opened it. No one was there. But resting on the floor was an old brass mining token. Stamped into the metal were 2 initials, S.W. The token hadn't been there earlier. He was certain of it. The next morning, Thomas showed it to one of the hotel's longtime employees. The elderly man examined it quietly before handing it back. "You should keep it," he said. Thomas asked why. The man looked toward the staircase and smiled. "Sometimes, old miners come back to the place they loved most. Perhaps that's why stories like this continue to survive. Maybe the sounds heard within the inn at Castle Rock are nothing more than old buildings settling into the night. Or perhaps the spirit of Samuel Whitaker still walks the hallways of the town he helped build. After all, paradise means different things to different people. For some, it's wealth. For others, it's comfort. But for an old miner, paradise might simply be the place where he found purpose, friendship, and a life worth remembering. Thomas returned home, but the brass token remained on his desk for the rest of his life. And whenever anyone asked about his weekend in Bisbee, he would simply smile and say, "Some people never check out of the inn at Castle Rock." And so, another mystery finds its place within the Files of the Unexplained. Join us next time as we open another file in the Unexplained. And thanks for listening.